Hello, Kansas and Western fans. It's time for episode 19 of the construction of the Kansas and Western HO scale layout. I'm going to do another full video tour of the layout today. The task for the last 2 weeks has been to wire up the Wichita yard. If you saw my operations videos this last Sunday, you could see that I've done that. So we're going to go over the whole layout to see what else I've managed to get done, and then we will discuss what the pole will be for this next couple weeks. Starting over here at the Royal Gorge route, I've started working on the siding for this area. And this siding is going to be for two purposes. One, it's going to be for a passing area for trains coming in and out of the helix. And it's also going to be for the excursion train out of Canon City that goes through the Royal Gorge. So that's the purpose for that. I've been working on that. And then this features something I managed to get done for this series or this video is I've printed off a lot more of these color photographs of the scenes that I plan to model to both give me a reference and to give you, the viewer, a better idea of what's in my head, of what I'm trying to accomplish here. So I've got several of these laid out. I'm going to show each of those as I get by so everybody can get an idea what I'm talking about and not just try to generate out of their own heads what I'm talking about. Anyway, here's a couple photos of the Royal Gorge route as it is more or less today. Moving around to Canon City. Also working on this siding for the Canon City train station. I have these this rolling stock here laying out just to show what this will look like. None of this track is actually laid yet though. And then this spur here in the foreground will be to a maintenance shed where other rolling stock for the Canon City, the Royal Gorge Route Railroad will be worked on just to feature some different rail cars and locomotives that they have in their inventory. No more track, and this area has been done because I'm waiting on more turnouts to get this track installed. So it's just kind of laid out there for now. And then here's a photo of the Portland cement plant from the ground level view. It's quite a big complex. I know a lot of these cement plants are. There's quite a bit going on. But that's just a general view of what it looks like. And moving over here to Pueblo, you'll see I've got the backdrop installed. It really helps a lot with light for this area. It's not so dark with the open area behind it. Plus it's starting to look a little bit more like it should. So I was happy to be able to get that done. I got this section down here done, and then around the corner there for La Junta yard done. It just looks a whole lot better. I chose to go with a corner, a 90-degree angle back here for the backdrop instead of a curved backdrop because I'm going to have this big structure in the back here anyway, which will help hide that transition. It's a multi-story structure which will cover about half of the height, I think. And then I think it's going to have a smokestack that I'll put right in the corner, so it'll kind of help hide that. And then to refer back to the photos for Pueblo, this is that aerial view of this fuel distribution terminal that's track served. You can kind of see the tracks there in the background. And then near the yard, the tracks serve the newspaper there for Pueblo. And then this photo shows the foreground of the rail yard where the river goes by. And I believe that is the Arkansas River. And then there's a whole lot of graffiti, or it might be planned artwork, I'm not sure, along that concrete I'd like to try to reproduce. And moving on to La Junta, you can see the backdrop there in place and painted. And again, I do plan to put actual photographic backdrops in. The blue is just to help for now because I don't know when I'll get to those photographic backdrops. So the blue at least brightens it up, makes it look a little better. And then down here at the east end of the yard, I think I've decided how I'm going to lay this ramp to where it'll logically work underneath the highway bridge. I will probably put another span of the highway bridge because you can see the ramp will fit right between the two spans. So hopefully I can get that done here before too long because obviously I have the track for it. Just have to get it laid. And moving around to Lamar. Got several of these photos up. I've had these before, so I'm sure you're familiar with those if you've seen past videos, but that's what those scenes look like. And there's that seed refinery there, seed oil refinery. And then this is that mysterious warehouse that I've mentioned several times. That's what it looks like. Just a couple silos there with an elevator that services the top of the silo. So still not sure what that is, but we're calling it a fertilizer distributor now. Moving around to Holly. The one thing I've added here is this is a photo of the whole scene that I've had in mind. And this is from across from the street on the north side. You can see the elevator there. That's what I've built so far. An older style elevator, another older elevator. Not sure if either of those is still in use, but we're going to model them anyway. And in the background on the right, you can see that water tower. So I'm going to get one of those water tower kits and add that as well. Moving up to Holcomb. Nothing else done here, but for a photo, I've got the aerial view of what the power plant looks like there on the right. And then that big black area are the coal piles. And right there in the center of the screen, you can see that's where the shed is, where the coal is dumped from trains, transferred by conveyor to these piles. So I think I'm going to try to focus on this aspect of the layout, or of the prototype, and then put the power plant probably up on the wall as a photo, or maybe as a flat. I'm not sure yet. We'll just have to see how it looks. Moving over to Garden City, I've got photos of the two industries there. I believe this is the fuels terminal, or this would be probably the cattle feed industry there. And then on Google Earth, these are right next door to each other. So that's what I'm going to do here. And then this will probably be the fuels terminal. Moving around to Charleston Elevator. That's what it looks like. And this is actually from the highway that goes right by. So that's what I'm trying to generate there. And with all these structures, I'm not trying to mirror image the prototypes. These are just ideas, help me with colors, maybe some details. Further on down the road, I think it's possible that I might redo some of these structures to try to better capture the image more accurately as I gain more experience with scratch building and kit bashing. It would be fun to try to create these things on a one-to-one basis. But for now, I need things to just fill the space, so I have an idea how to lay track. So that's how we're working on it for now. Moving around to Wichita Industrial Yard. This is the lumber distributor, which is actually on the more central south, maybe western edge of the city. It's not close to the Wichita Yard, but it was a good idea to fit this space. And I know at least one or two viewers have mentioned how you need to have the cars centrally located so that they can be unloaded evenly, otherwise they'll tip over. There's printing right on the cars to remind whoever unloads these things to unload them evenly or they'll tip over. I just don't really have the space for that. So I'm going to use styrene to go right up to the edge of the fascia to hopefully kind of sell the idea to the viewer that it actually will fill this space too, which I'm just not going to have space to do that. So we're just going to leave it here on the edge like this because it just is a lot easier to manage that. And then here's an aerial view of one of the scrap yards that's near the yard. So that's what I'm going to try to work on there. And that'll be this track here. Probably do some background photos for the scrap yard. And then you can see here, I've gotten all the track laid out for the Wichita Industrial Yard. All the spurs, the industry service tracks. I have the turnouts I need for that, so that's something that I can work on. You'll also see, if you remember my last video, I had a cement distributor here. I decided to get rid of that because A, there isn't one that's track served, I don't think, in any of Wichita. Maybe on the east side of town, but I wanted to get rid of it to just kind of give the other industries a little bit more room to breathe, a little bit more space. So I decided just to get rid of that altogether. This one here, this is the Clean Harbors plant. And one of these days I'll get names put up for all these things so I can remember all of them right off the top of my head. But you can see there on the right-hand side, that is the north end of the Wichita grain elevator or the elevator that's at the Wichita yard. So you can see the proximity to this. So that's going to be very appropriate to put here according to the prototype. And then this is one of at least a dozen grain elevators that is also near the Wichita yard for several different companies. Cargill, I know, is one, but there's others. This might either have a background structure or maybe a little bit in the foreground just to service the track here. And then that back track there that's right up against the wall will service another elevator, which will help create a view block there in that corner. Wichita yard, again, this has all been wired. Everything works. I've had a few operations, mini sessions, just to kind of, excuse me, run locomotives up and down each track through the different turnouts. I have one or two problem turnouts that I think can be solved with putting some Caboose Industries ground throws in place to kind of just help lock those rails in place, but otherwise everything works really well. And the UP side, haven't done anything on, except I have started working on the yard throat at the other end. The track here is kind of a mess just because I've been trying to figure out exactly how I want it to lay out. The only part that I have figured out is the arrival departure track, which is the one closest to the silo. I have all the turnouts I need for that I could get it laid all the way to the end. So that's something that I could work on. And then we can start branching off the rest of the yard from there. This photo that I've had printed up here, this is what it looks like from the interstate as you pass over the yard. You can see there's two head houses because in reality, this used to be two different grain elevators, and then tracks would run down the middle. Just for space concerns, I've decided to focus on the one that's still existent because the west one has been mostly demolished. Buddy of mine at work told me that somebody actually tried to demolish bought the contract to demolish the other side and tore up 3 cranes trying to do it. So apparently concrete's hard. Anyhow, and here's a collection of Waller's turnouts I have. So I'm ready to get started on the yard. I just have to spend the time to work on it. And then you can see the track that's come around. This is the arrival departure track for the UP side of the yard. So it's branching off there in this direction to feed off to the main line that will go around El Dorado. And then moving towards Towanda, got another house kit. Got a couple photos here. This is the main street through town, so I plan to build that crossing because it's just something I'm familiar with from most of my life. And then there is one of the streets residential streets through town that parallels the tracks. I want to create a portion of that scene too because I grew up close to the tracks, which is part of the reason why I'm doing this. And then moving down to El Dorado. Here's a photo of, we have BG Products and Barton Solvents together. And you can see the terminals there served by tank cars. So this is what I'm going to try to generate here. And then, of course, El Dorado Refinery. Picked up a tank kit. And this is what it looks like from an aerial view where the tracks come down the right side there. And then the coke terminal, or the coker plant down there with the piles of coke. We're going to have some of that and multiple different loading racks. And then one last one over here, an Indian tank car. There's the aerial view of that on the north end of town. Quite a few tracks, all kinds of tank cars. I'm only going to have probably 4 tracks at most, with a couple structures to kind of emulate what this looks like, but that's Union Tank Car Company. So as you can see, still tons to do, but everything's been going very well. Been very happy with the results. I appreciate everybody's feedback, and so now it's time for this episode's poll. What would you guys like to see me work on next? All kinds of options. I will copy and paste all those options again to remind everybody of all the different locations. Whatever interests you, leave a comment. Let me know what you'd like to see me focus my next 2 weeks worth of work on. I appreciate everybody's feedback and comments. Thanks for watching.